sent an email saying that system generated a revaluation journal for a specific account which has a zero balance. She is not expecting revaluation journal to be generated for this particular account. In this video, I'll explain you how did we troubleshoot this issue and found the root cause. You are watching Oracle EBS and Fusion Videos channel. As far as the troubleshooting steps are concerned, we verified if the account has really a zero accounted balance, and yes, the account has a zero accounted balance. We try to replicate the issue in a non-prod environment. So in non-prod environment, we picked up an account which has a zero accounted balance and try to run the revaluation process. Revaluation process, as expected, was not generating any revaluation journal for that account. So we went further, try to find out the root cause. So before I explain you the root cause, let me show this troubleshooting process in my test environment, and then I'll explain you how did we found the root cause. So let me get into my test environment and pick up an account which has a zero counted balance, and then try to run the revaluation process. So system, we can check if the system is generating a revaluation journal or not. But again, for the starters, if you are not aware of what is revaluation, why do you need to run the revaluation process, you can look for a specific video on the revaluation process in my description section. So there is a link for the revaluation process. You can go through that. So now let me get into the test environment. So let me pick up an account which has the zero balance. So this is the account. Let me go to account inquiry or inquire on detailed balances. I'm just picking up an account under US primary ledger and picking up an accounting period July 2025. So from accounting period July 2025 and to accounting period is July 2025. Its USD is the functional currency, and the company is 101, line of business is 10, and my account is 22,100. And the cost center is 000, and the product is 111. The last segment intercompany is 000. So this is an account which has an accounted balance of 0. Now let me try to run the revaluation process for this particular account. Go to the period close, revalue balances, and this is the revaluation template on which I'm planning to run the revaluation process. So if you go to the filters, so this is the account for which I'll be running the revaluation process. So if I run ideally my expectation is system should not generate any revaluation journal for this particular account because the balance is 0. Now let me see if system will generate any revaluation journal for the month of July. Submit. Process ID ending with 41 was triggered. Let me wait for the schedule process. We can go to the schedule process and wait for the process to be completed. process completed. Now let me go to the output file and check if system has generated any revaluation journal. Oh, it has generated the revaluation journal. So exactly the same thing has happened in our production environment, wherein user is not expecting any revaluation journal, but system has generated the revaluation. So now what we did, or rather the mistake what user did in this case is she was checking the accounted balance for this particular account, and the accounted balance was zero. But let me show you what has happened in this example. Let me close this. The reason why system has calculated the revaluation journal in this case is, go back to your period close, inquire on detail balances, check for the account 725, which is July 2025. And then company 101, line of business 10, account 2200, cost center 000, product 111, intercompany 000, search. Okay, we were actually looking at this, but when you click on the hyperlink, you can see there is a journal entry which has an entered balance of 15,000, and for some reason the accounted balance is zero. So somebody passed a kind of an accounting entry or a journal entry wherein they pass the entered value and accounted value is zero. So whenever you pass your journal entry, once you enter your transaction currency or entered currency, system will automatically calculate the accounted currency based on the exchange rate. But once it is calculated or once it is populated, you can very well go and update it to zero. So some user try to pass some kind of an adjustment entry wherein they want to have an impact only on the entered currency but not the accounted currency. So in this example, ideally in general, if your accounted currency is zero, probably your entered currency balance will also be zero. But in this case, as far as this account is concerned, the entered currency has 15,000 rupees INR is a currency and your accounted value is zero. So whenever system performs the revaluation is always on the balance in the entered currency but not on the accounted currency. So in this case, there is a balance of 15,000 and hence system has calculated a revaluation entry, and I think the revaluation journal entry was created and it was for an amount of 179. Now I can also show you in the Excel how system has calculated this. If you go back to my Excel sheet, the opening balance of this particular account code combination has a zero balance, and the transactions for the month of July is 15,000. So when I say transactions, this is the journal entry 15,000. There is a balance in 15,000 and the accounted balance or USD balance is zero. This is the closing balance. So system calculated the revaluation entry for 179 US dollars. It is based on this particular calculation. System takes into account the entered balance, closing entered balance multiplied by the closing entered balance multiplied by the exchange rate as on the last day of the month. This is the 31st of July is the revaluation date which we have selected when we are running the revaluation process, and hence system is trying to convert 15,000 rupees into US dollars using an exchange rate of 83.76 minus the balance already available. So the net revaluation amount would be $179. So this is what system has generated this revaluation entry. Whenever the system generates a revaluation entry will always have an impact on the accounted currency but not on the entered currency. But from a calculation perspective, system will check what is the entered balance, based on which system will generate the revaluation entry. So if you look at this revaluation journal entry, if you look at this revaluation journal entry, you will be able to see the journal was created with an entered balance of 0 and accounted balance of 179. Of course, that's what is the functionality of the revaluation. Revaluation journal entry will always have a entered transaction of 0 and your accounted would be and accounted would have some balance. So let me check why not able to search for this. Okay, so this is the revaluation journal. Okay, so revaluation entry was created for 179.07, which is expected. So ultimately, the root cause was there was some adjustment entry which was created by some user, which has that particular journal entry has an entered balance, but the accounted balance was 0, and the user was just looking at the account inquiry and just looking at that accounted balance. If the accounted balance is 0, user was thinking that your concerned transaction balance was also 0, but which is not the correct. And after we explained this particular user realized as to why system has generated the revaluation journal, and then they went on reverse that particular journal entry which was created by the user, and after that obviously system stopped creating the revaluation journal. Thank you for watching my video. For interesting videos on Oracle EBS and Fusion Financials, please do subscribe to my channel. Thank you.